You probably ate at least one of these today. And I'm not talking about obvious junk food. I'm talking about things that are in most people's fridges right now. Foods that are quietly aging your cells, shortening your telomeres, and setting your biological clock forward. One of them is in virtually every office pantry in America. And a 2024 study found it was making people nearly a full year biologically older. So before you eat anything else today, watch this. Welcome to Second Prime, where science meets your second chapter. Today we're going through 7 foods that research shows actively accelerate how fast you age. Not just generally unhealthy, specifically, mechanistically, aging your body from the inside. And for each one, I'll give you the swap. Let's get into it. Number 1. Ultra-processed foods. You've probably heard this term, but here's the part most people skip over. It's not just about calories or fat. A 2024 study published in Age and Aging, that's an Oxford journal, tracked over 16,000 adults and found that for every 10% of your daily calories that comes from ultra-processed foods, you are 0.21 years biologically older. Eat a lot of this stuff, and the gap is nearly a full year of biological aging. The mechanism? It's not entirely clear yet, and that's actually the alarming part. Researchers found that poor nutritional content only partially explains the effect. Something else in these products, the additives, the emulsifiers, the industrial compounds not found in home cooking, appears to be driving additional cellular damage. The NOVA classification defines ultra-processed foods as industrial formulations with ingredients you'd never find in a home kitchen. Think packaged crackers, flavored chips, instant noodles, breakfast cereals. With a 20-item ingredient list, the swap. Replace one ultra-processed item per day with a whole food. Boiled eggs instead of a protein bar. Oatmeal instead of sweetened cereal. Small shifts compound. Number 2. Refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. This one operates through a process called glycation. Here's the analogy I want you to remember. Think of glycation like rust on a car. When excess sugar circulates in your bloodstream, it binds to proteins in your body, collagen, elastin, the proteins in your brain, forming what scientists call AGEs, advanced glycation end products. And just like rust weakens metal, AGEs stiffen and degrade your tissues. They show up in the plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. They degrade skin collagen. They stiffen arterial walls. The particular villain here, fructose. Research shows fructose is far more reactive than glucose in generating glycation precursors. And high fructose corn syrup packs a disproportionate fructose load. It's in sodas, obviously, but also in ketchup, salad dressings, sweetened yogurt, sports drinks. A 2022 study found that older adults with higher dietary age intake experienced significantly faster cognitive decline. And if you found that useful, hit the like button. It helps us reach more people. The swap. Sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon instead of soda. Greek yogurt with fresh fruit instead of the flavored kind. Number 3, and this one is genuinely controversial, so I'm going to be straight with you. Refined seed oils that are heavily heated or oxidized. Now, I want to be careful here, because the science is more nuanced than the internet suggests. A large UK biobank analysis of over 250,000 people found that linoleic acid, the primary omega-6 fat in most seed oils, was actually associated with lower mortality risk, not higher. So the viral claim that seed oils are inflammatory poison, the direct evidence doesn't support it. Here's where the legitimate concern does lie. When these oils are heated to high temperatures repeatedly, think deep frying, commercial frying operations, the unsaturated fats oxidize and form aldehydes and other harmful byproducts. That's the fraction where the biological concern is real. The specific behavior to avoid: cooking with seed oils at very high heat, eating foods deep fried in repeatedly reheated oil. The swap: use olive oil or avocado oil for most cooking, and reserve seed oils for low-heat applications. This isn't about banning a food group. It's about method. Number 4. Processed and deli meats. This one has some of the hardest evidence on this entire list. In 2015, the World Health Organization's Cancer Research Arm classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, the same category as tobacco and asbestos. The evidence that it causes cancer in humans is convincing, and we're not talking about huge quantities. Just 50 grams a day, 1 hot dog, 2 or 3 slices of deli turkey, raises your lifetime colorectal cancer risk by 18%. But the aging connection goes deeper. Research has linked processed meat to shorter telomeres. Those are the protective caps on your DNA strands. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces. When they shorten, cells age and eventually stop dividing. The culprits: nitrosamines formed from nitrite preservatives, combined with high concentrations of glycotoxins. Chronic inflammation from these compounds accelerates cellular aging across the board. The swap: wild-caught salmon, sardines, lentils, or eggs as your protein source. If you love deli meat and you're not ready to quit, reduce frequency and choose nitrite-free versions. We're halfway through, and I have to say, the next 3 are the ones that most people over 50 don't see coming. They're not obvious. Number 5 especially, most people think it's fine. Stay with me. And if you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. We put out new science-backed longevity content every Monday and Thursday. Number 5. White bread and refined carbohydrates. This one seems tame. Stay with me. Here's what changes after 50. Your insulin response does. Pancreatic beta cell function, your body's insulin production capacity, declines with age. So the same blood sugar spike that your 30-year-old body handled easily now creates a more prolonged disruption. White bread has a glycemic index around 70, comparable to sugar. Chronically elevated blood sugar drives the same glycation cascade we just talked about in Section 2. But here's what I found specifically alarming for older adults. A 2025 study examined over 1,300 older adults and found that those in the highest quartile of white bread consumption had a 56% increased risk of low muscle mass and were twice as likely to have low grip strength. That's sarcopenia, the accelerated muscle loss that affects half of adults over 80. Refined carbs may be stealing your functional strength. The swap: sourdough or 100% whole grain bread, brown rice, quinoa, lentils. These release glucose slowly, protecting beta cell function and limiting the glycation response. Number 6. Excessive alcohol. And notice I said excessive, because a glass of red wine with dinner is a very different biological event than 2 or 3 drinks most nights. Let me give you the mechanism. When your body metabolizes alcohol, it produces acetaldehyde, a reactive compound that directly damages DNA, forms protein adducts, and impairs mitochondrial function. Think of your mitochondria as the power plants of your cells. Acetaldehyde throws sand in the gears. Multiple studies have looked at alcohol through the lens of epigenetic clocks, biological age measurements based on DNA methylation. A 2019 study in neuropsychopharmacology found individuals with alcohol use disorder had an epigenetic age 2.82 years older than controls. And a 2021 study found that each additional standard drink per day was associated with nearly 3/4 of a year of additional biological aging. Research in Frontiers in Behavioral Neuroscience also links alcohol to neuroinflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction that may accelerate Alzheimer's-related pathology. The evidence on moderate consumption is genuinely mixed, but more than 2 drinks on most days, the biological aging signal becomes measurable. The SWAP,